Hey everyone, today we're going to be comparing different businesses. We're going to be ranking them based on difficulty. I'll be telling you what kind of businesses that I'm currently involved in and what I am not currently involved in and things that I stepped away from. And this whole video was inspired by a viewer, shout out to the viewer, on this video where I showed how to set up the stock photo scanner tagging tool. And this person set a comment in the video, and his comment said, "Thank you for the video. I've been using the tool for almost a month now, and it works wonders, very accurate. I'm not sure if you made a video on this before, but I want to know, what's your opinion on the easiest to the hardest business models that you can explain on your channel? As a beginner, I want to eventually delve into almost all of them and formulate a strategy that is progressively relevant to the difficulty." So this was a phenomenal question. His name is I don't want to pronounce it incorrectly, so I'll just spell it out. At ZAISAMA1. So shout out to him. And he asked that question basically, how do I rank them? How do I look at these businesses? What's more difficult? What's easier? I'll share both, like I said, the difficulty, my own personal experiences, and the challenges that I faced with each of these businesses. So let's start off at the top. FBA. So in terms of FBA, what's my experience? FBA, fulfilled by Amazon, was the very first business that I thought I could actually make money on. When FBA first came out, it actually came out in a very, very strong kind of way. I was in college. I happened to be a freshman. And really, I was looking for something to do because I hated college that much. I'm not saying college is a scam. I'm not saying anything bad about college. I just knew that I couldn't fit in too well with the way that that corporation type feel, where you have this hierarchy, somebody's above you on the chain. In this case, it was the professors, and they kind of controlled I could just feel this control of freedom or lack of freedom. So I wanted to get out of college, so the first idea that I had, the business idea, was I would buy products overseas that had related to weightlifting gear, so knee sleeves, lifting straps, wrist straps, and I would essentially buy them, put my own logo on them, customize them, and sell them on Amazon. And so I was sadly mistaken. Well, not sadly, it's part of my story, but I took those items, sold them on Amazon, and it was very difficult. I barely made any profit, probably under 10% profit at the time. I later decided to build a website for that business. That business transferred from weightlifting gear to a fitness clothing brand that eventually evolved and grew very quickly. I eventually sold that business, and that was my largest success till today. But anyways, the whole point with this business, Amazon FBA, I ended up going back to it because I had discovered certain products that were very low competition at the time. I put some marketing behind it on outside channels of Amazon, succeeded slightly, in the profit range of about 10 to 20%, took those products and sold the business. So my experience on Amazon FBA. Amazon FBA, with all due respect, is one of the worst businesses to start in 2024. I know people are expecting me to say it's a good business, it's an easy business. It's not a good business. Amazon rapes you in terms of fees. Now, I know people who do sell on Amazon and they have a phenomenal experience. But if I had the freedom to choose a business, any business that I want to start, Amazon would not be one of them. Why? Because the profit margins are so low no matter how good my business is. And to put things into perspective, I'm buying products overseas. Many of the products at various times become damaged. Sometimes it's the whole lot. Whether it's damaged through customs because they want to check it for drug transport, whether it's damaged because the manufacturer decided to cut corners and mess something up, whether it's damaged because something in the stitching or something went wrong in the product formulation, whether it's damaged because of shipping damages. There's so many reasons why product gets damaged. Sometimes the manufacturer, you'll agree with them on a certain way of doing things, and they'll send you a certain amount of products that are not what you agreed on. I mean, it happens all the time. So there are things that happen, and Amazon has a lot of fees as a platform. Right? It does have a lot of fees. And especially if you're that type of person where you're going to have to sit there and experiment and it's your very first business, it's very capital intensive, Amazon, and the money that you're generating as a quote unquote profit, most of that money plus the sale money, aside from just the profit, all the revenue is really being shuttled back into the business just to keep feeding the beast, just to keep buying more product, etc. So is Amazon FBA a bad business? It's not a bad business. But on the level of difficulty, because of the amount of fees, I'm going to have to just push it towards the left-hand side, and I give it right here, between the red and the orange level. Okay, so I put it, let me see if I can do this here instead. I put it about right here, somewhere in between the orange, somewhere in between the red. Not totally at the edge of the red, but somewhere in between there. If at the right is the easiest and the left is the hardest, it's somewhere in between. The only way, in my mind, that you could succeed successfully with Amazon FBA is there's only two ways, in my opinion. Or three ways, excuse me. The first way is to keep in mind that you can market your product outside of Amazon, and that will generate sales and create a third-party platform that forces your customers to give you reviews. The algorithm is based on the relevant keywords. That's easy. That's not hard at all. Right? You just put the keywords that people search for, which is not hard. The second thing is ranking. So how do you actually rank? You need orders and you need reviews. And so the only way to do that is you create a marketing plan outside. That's option number one. Option number two is you could sell a whole lot of products for very low profit margin. That's something you could do as well. Once again, it's not ideal, but you could do it. And number three is what you do is you create a product line and you have a lot of products on your websites that are related to it. However, that one product that you have on Amazon is priced lower on purpose to then generate traffic to your website as a marketing scheme, not as a product to earn profit on. That's the third way that I would say that you can become successful on Amazon FBA. There's really one other way, but it's harder to do it now, is if you create a product in a very low competition niche on Amazon, which is, once again, extremely, extremely difficult. It's 2024. Almost every niche is, tapped into, at least that I could think of. Unless there's some sort of new trend or something that pops off, most of the products are going to have some level of competition. All right, so that's Amazon FBA. KDP. KDP used to be somewhere in between here, I would say, but now it's like up here. It's very easy now. Now, don't get me wrong. KDP has more competition now. More people do it, more people use it, etc. But the truth is, a lot of the competition is garbage quality. A lot of people don't write books very well, and I'm not talking about the grammar aspect. I'm just saying there's no real good content. They don't really understand what the reader is looking for or the type of information they want, and they also don't know how to market that specific book. One of the easiest ways to generate more KDP sales is to create a marketing funnel, and a marketing funnel looks like this. You create a page, right, that offers people a video or even a segment of the book, right? And in that segment, you essentially are explaining to them a piece of what the book is about, right? So if I'm teaching people about how to reduce binge eating, right, I'm teaching them one of my skills. I enamor them. I convince them so much that I know what I'm talking about with that binge eating segment, that then they decide, wow, I read this piece, I love it, I know I'm going to enjoy the book, and then you go funnel people from the website to the book, the landing page, which is why funnels are extremely important. I set up websites all the time with funnels. Very, very important, right? Rocket Web Builder, you guys know what I'm talking about. So that's kind of how you do KDP at a very high level. Some people don't. Some people just do the whole keyword system, but if you want to publish as little books as possible but make as much money as possible, like I said, with the contingency, they want to upload as low books as possible, the amount, then that's the way to go. You just got to take the author approach, like the famous author approach. If you want to do KDP, how people promote it on YouTube, which is like popping out a ton of these books, book after book after book after book, sometimes low content books, you can do that as well. But it's not going to be nearly as profitable. I mean, we're talking about the difference is $2,000 versus $25,000 on a book. It's a huge difference. It's a world of a difference. So is making $2,000 off of a book on Amazon good? Yeah, the royalties are not that high. If you're in the program, you're paying like anywhere from $9.99, you're not paying, but you're selling the book for $9.99 to $3.99. That KDP program, you could do it and generate 70% of the profit. But then again, if you're going to be pumping out books, It's a strategy, but it's a hardworking strategy. My experience on KDP is while I was building that website and I was diverting off of Amazon, KDP had emerged, and my business was extremely successful at this time with the clothing and things like that. So I decided to spend some time on KDP, started hiring people out to write some stuff, and I still have books till today selling for me on KDP. I haven't done work on a KDP book in literally, I'm not exaggerating, over 7 years. So I take home just as much as I was taking home since the beginning when I first started KDP, so I'm very thankful for that, and it's just another business model. Today, because of the existence of AI, I would put it up pretty high. Probably about here is where I would put it. Not fully to the right, but somewhere between this green bar and this green bar. KDP, once again, it's not extremely profitable if you do it like the way everyone else does it, but it is profitable if you can play the game right. If you're not playing the game the way I'm talking about, like if you're literally just pumping out books off keywords and things like that, you could do good, but you're not going to make tens of thousands of dollars. If you want to make tens of thousands, there's a certain way you play that game. But I'll leave it at that. Print-on-demand website. So a print-on-demand website is actually... Let me leave that. Let me replace it with this for now. I'll talk about the print-on-demand website in just a minute. Marketplace print-on-demand. Marketplace print-on-demand, I would put it up here as well. So actually, I would put it up here. It's a little easier than KDP. It's very easy. The only hard part, right, is, and I wouldn't even call this hard, it's just time intensive, is learning algorithms. And what I mean by that is learn how websites are being built through an algorithm. How is data being sorted? If you can figure that out on a certain website, then you can succeed with print on demand. Because, listen, I've seen trash designs on my end and on other people's end sell. So it's not a matter of quality all the time. You guys, I don't know if you guys remember this when I used to say it all the time. I have literally over 1,300 videos. Back years ago, I used to say, all you have to do is create a buyable design. You don't have to create an amazing design. You don't have to create the only design. You have to create a buyable design, meaning it's just good enough to get the sale. A lot of people think you have to be the best artist. The reality is most artists in print-on-demand who are what I call a true artist, they're starving artists. They don't make any money. Why? They're too concerned with the art nature of it. They're too concerned with the drawing aspect, the artistic side of things, which there's nothing wrong with, except it's not conducive to financial success. Because the reality is with print-on-demand marketplaces, Zazzle, Society6, Redbubble, TeePublic, Spreadshirt, all these different places, the reality is that quantity matters and skills matter. And when I say skills, I'm talking about understanding the algorithm as a skill. If you go to autopilotpassiveincome.com, right, one of the courses that I'm truly, truly very proud of, this Redbubble SEO course, I broke down everything on the algorithm that you need to know. I broke down why certain designs show up for certain places. I broke down certain keyword analysis things. There's well over 35 lessons on here. And it dissects the algorithm to the highest level. And that's something that I studied at a very high level and something that I became completely obsessed with. So marketplace print on demand is easy. However, there are a lot of people who are starving in the game of marketplace print on demand. They make almost no money because they're waiting to get lucky. I used to say this when I make these videos about print on demand, is I say I could predict really over 80% accuracy at this point into the game whether that design is going to sell or not in a 2 or 3 month period. I can predict. And the reason why is because I've done it for so long, but more importantly, I paid attention when I was doing it to the things that people don't pick up on. And I went looking for those things. I'm not telling you I'm talented. I'm not telling you I'm some sort of genius or genie. I looked for the things that people don't really care about when it comes down to print on demand. You have to realize that if you're in the print on demand game and you're uploading to the marketplaces, you have to realize if you're looking at things from a statistical, mathematical, logical point of view, you have an upper hand than 80% of the population who upload to these sites, because they don't. They don't look at things from a statistical or logical. They just say, oh, I think this is beautiful. Let me just upload it. Which is, once again, nice, but artists don't get fed. And there's a certain way to play these games with these marketplaces. And one of them is understanding how the algorithm is controlled, so you can then thereby control the designs, the titles, the keywords. All those things play a huge role, right? One of the things that made me extremely successful with Redbubble, financially that is when I would create a design, I would take the design. Obviously, I would tag it properly and title it and all that, but I would promote it on Instagram. And what would happen is I would use a robot, to get me Instagram followers. I'm not talking about buying fake followers. That's trash. That's worthless. Okay, I'm talking about growing the Instagram account. I use a robot to grow the account by, engaging and things like that with others. I get these fans and these followers who are genuinely interested in the product. Then they go buy the product on Redbubble with my design on it. What does that do for me? It's basically like paying ads, but not actually, it doesn't cost me any money. It costs me $20 a month, and I use the robot as much as I want and as money as it counts. So it's like paying for ads, and it's getting the same result as ads, but none of the cost. And what that does is I'm essentially bringing more eyeballs to my product, which results in sales. When I get sales, I rank higher naturally in the algorithm. By the time I get to the higher ranks, after a few sales, what has happened? Now, people are organically seeing my work on Redbubble who never knew I existed, right? The only reason why my designs were up there is because of the marketing, because of the work behind it. So then, my keywords really play in part of it and generate me, instead of 2 sales a design a month, I'll be getting 30, 40, 60, 80 sales on that specific design a month. And the comparison between people who do the marketing and people who don't and do it properly. I'm not talking about the people who try it and fail. I'm talking about the right way to do it to generate the sales over a long period of time is like over 20x in terms of sales. I can upload a design regularly to Redbubble, and maybe that year it will generate 35 sales. But I could do the same thing, incorporate the social media, and incorporate the sales from third-party sites coming into Redbubble and purchasing, thereby ranking my design, could lead to over 500 sales easily that very year. So I played the long game with every design. I marketed every single one. I hired virtual assistants. I built it out. And I made the business difficult on me, not because I wanted it to be hard, but because I wanted to get paid my dues, right? And so it worked out for me. But in general, print-on-demand marketplaces, whether you're playing the game through strategy or not, like chess, is generally easy. Everybody can get into it. All right, next one. AI stock photography. AI stock photography is by far the easiest. And the reason why I say this is because AI stock photography, there's really no difficulty anymore. Back then it used to be difficult. There was no AI. You have to get a camera. You have to book a flight somewhere. You have to know how to shoot with a camera. You have to edit the photos. You have to process the photos. You have to apply filters to the photos. The photos have to be large and clear and high quality and over a certain amount of pixels. Now, none of that exists. It's all AI. If you know how to manipulate AI, you know how to make tons of money on AI stock photography, which I'm on that journey currently, and I'm doing phenomenally well. I think in the last, 4 days, I've created over 10,000 images, so it's been a phenomenal experience, and I'm on hyperdrive right now. I'm going really hard. I can't wait, 5 years down the line, 4 years down the line, how far I'm going to go into this, who knows, but it's going very well. And it's by far the easiest. Like I said, I have automation tools that I paid for, and I've made videos on this, so it's not like I left you guys in the dark. This video right here, I've shown exactly what tools and things like that. So basically, it creates images for me. It processes upscales for me. It downloads images for me. I take those images, I upload them, and then there's systems that create keywords for me on those images, whether it be by tags or title. And it's going phenomenally well, like I said. So, very easy business. In fact, I would say the easiest. Okay, print-on-demand website. So here we go. Print-on-demand websites and Shopify stores are very similar, so I'm going to kind of group them together. Print-on-demand websites, I would put somewhere here, right? So in between this green bar and this yellow bar, in terms of easiness or hardness, difficulty rather. Let me get my grammar proper. In terms of difficulty, it's not hard, it's not easy, but it's between intermediate, I would say, which is kind of here somewhere, like from here all the way to like here somewhere, right? And the reason why I say that is because first off, print on demand is easier than general Shopify store. When I say general Shopify store, what I mean, basically everything other than print on demand. So if you're doing drop shipping, right, it will be a little bit harder to print on demand. If you're doing if you're creating products yourself, that will be even a little bit harder. If you're outsourcing, like overseas, you're buying products, etc. You're sourcing the products, they come to you, you ship them out. That's a little bit harder. Why? Because it has that physical aspect. Now you have to label the products. Now you have to ship them out. Now you have to find the best couriers, the tracking numbers. You got to do the whole thing, right? But with print on demand, it's really not that difficult. You're not shipping any t-shirt. You're not packing any t-shirt. You're not printing any t-shirt. You're not doing any of that. So the only thing you really have to get good at is two things: marketing and design. Design is not the hard part. We have AI, we have all that. Marketing is the secret sauce. I teach a course on how to do Pinterest marketing, Pinterest ads. And part of the reason why I don't engage in Pinterest organic too much is because Pinterest ads works for me. You got to find an ad strategy that will work for you for major success or for fast success. Let me change the words. For fast success, not major success. You can be majorly successful through SEO, but that takes a long period of time. What is SEO? It stands for search engine optimization. When somebody searches for something, your listing pops up, your website link, whatever it is, pops up. They click on it, they purchase. You're essentially doing SEO, search engine optimization, right? You have to do certain things to get your website up there. It's not easy, but it's not difficult. And whether you go the SEO route, which takes longer, or you go the ad route, right, which is quicker but much more volatile, either way, it fits somewhere here in terms of difficulty. Is it possible for every single person listening to succeed? Yeah, I don't see why not in this business. Now, is it going to take a little bit of time depending on who the person is? Yes. Why? Because resources make a difference. There are people who message me in the comments and they say, I don't have enough money to pay for a Shopify subscription. For those who don't know, at the time, Shopify used to be $29 a month. Now it's $39. If you don't have enough money for it, resources will come into play. It will become an issue. You do have to, quote unquote, feed the beast. When somebody purchases a t-shirt from you, it's not like the company, whoever manufactures it, is going to go create the t-shirt and just you pay them later. It doesn't work that way. You have to buy the t-shirt, they'll ship it, etc. So in terms of difficulty, print-on-demand stores are a little bit less difficult than generalized product Shopify stores, whether it be drop shipping, you're shipping it yourself, white label, whatever. It's a little bit less difficult because of the manual fulfillment aspect. However, they're both about the same difficulty in terms of the logical process, the analysis. It's not easy, but it's definitely not crazy difficult. It's very possible for everyone to succeed with that. All right. Definitely takes more effort and definitely takes more money, but the rewards are larger and the risk is larger. So, that's kind of normal. We talked about marketplace POD. I don't even know why I have that written twice. The next one, agencies. So you hear this all the time. Like, people want to do marketing agencies, service-based industries, in the marketing, digital, online world. I hate this business. I'm going to leave it all the way at the hardest level. For me, it's not so much that the work is difficult, right? Whether you're outsourcing or you're doing the work yourself, the work is not difficult. Running ads for a client is not difficult. Creating graphics for a client is not difficult. All that is not difficult. But you are dealing with, this is what I call modern day rich slavery. Starting an agency, you're just a glorified freelancer. That's really all you are. There's no, honestly, in my opinion, I don't think people get in this business for fulfillment. I don't think people get into this business for enjoyment or passion or they love what they do. They get into this business because they need money. And the reality is that I hate businesses like these. Businesses where it's only money for me, I don't, first off, I don't need to get into them anymore because I'm past that. But more importantly, it's annoying. It's annoying to do these kind of businesses. Why? I'll tell you why. First off, you're a second away from the client not hiring you. You can go through hours and hours of convincing for the client. You could show them proof that you're successful. You could show them proof you know what you're doing. But at the end of the day, they choose to pay you based on what they're comfortable with. And for most people in this world, I would tell them stay away from this business. The reality is first off, let's talk about why the whole agency world gets a terrible reputation. The first reason is because majority of the people who've never built a business in their lives, they start an agency. Well, what the hell do they know about branding or marketing or running ads? They don't know anything. But they go out there, they go find small business owners who maybe don't make that much, maybe 50K, 40K, 30K, and then they go make them sign up for a $1,500 product, which is a lot of money for somebody generating only 50K or 20K or 30K on some sort of service. And then the service obviously tanks, you know? This is the same story with Iman Ghatzi. Everybody knows this guy. A lot of people think his story is extreme success, but he's been outed to only make like $170K in an agency for a whole entire year, even though he said he made $1.7 million. You know, I mean, he embellished about 10x, no big deal. But the point is that this business is filled with people that really have no experience building businesses. And then they go out there and they find business owners to work for them. Now, some people might not find a problem with that, but here's the problem. The problem is that you're selling this idea that you know what you're talking about. If you knew what you were talking about, if you knew what you were doing, you would have done it for yourself. That's the reality of things. So what happens is, over time, you might start getting these clients, right? And like I said, I've realized this because I was in this industry. After I sold my business, I really didn't have much to do. And I thought, let me start an agency because that was the hot thing at the time. And it was the worst decision I could have made because in my head, right, one of the things that was slowing me down is I had to confirm with the client, oh, do you want us to do this? Do you want us to do that? And I had to explain to the client why certain things work, why certain things don't work. Meanwhile, I was already a business owner and successful. And I stopped at that moment, right? And I said to myself, why on earth am I doing this? I could just do this for myself. I've already built successful businesses. And from that day on, I stopped. I sold my share of the agency, the person who I was working with, and he took 100% of the company, and I never stepped foot in a business like that ever again. I personally hate having meetings and conversations. I hate dealing with people on the phone. Like, to me, it's just not a way I like to do business. It's too corporate. I'm not a corporate guy. I'm not the type of guy to go show up in a suit because I'm trying to convince a client to sell them. I really don't care. You know, I'm going to dress up in my hoodie and my sweatpants, my basketball shorts, my whatever. And it is what it is. So, there's an element of fakeness to the whole entire business of agencies. Like I said, 99% of the people in the agency world really have no experience with success. They create success off the shoulders of other brands because the brands have built the infrastructure. And like I said, the reality is most people in that business who have actually built something is slim to none, which is why I left. I had built a business. I realized, why on earth would I service other people? This is wasting my time. I'm not going to do it. And I just stopped. I just didn't get into it again. So that's it. And by the way, I'll never do another service for anybody, anything. There's no reason. It's either I could teach you how to do it or good luck. I mean, that's it. I'm not going to go do a service for somebody pretty much ever. In the business world, of course, not in personal real life stuff, but I'm saying in business stuff, it's not the way to go. It's reality. And if people really thought logically about the situation, they could easily just do it themselves. And what I mean by do it themselves, I mean is the people who are running this agency. If they have this team of 4 or 5, 10 people, 20 people, 100 people, whatever, that actually could build something reputable, why wouldn't they go start their own companies? Why on earth would they go try to find a company, convince them, and get paid to do the more. I just can't see it. It's essentially in the same boat, like I said, as freelancing. Freelancing is a disaster. It's modern day slavery in a virtual format, in a financial format. You are getting paid, but you're essentially a slave. I've seen the freelancers get used and abused. People who work freelancers, you got customers from hell, especially if you work on these cheap platforms like Fiverr, and people, can't really spend money. They're going to be asking you to fix and correct and do this and do that. And majority of the times, the freelancer, not only do they know what they're talking about, they just can't do the marketing. They don't know how to get the good clients, the ones who aren't annoying, the ones who aren't a pain in the rear end. And they resort to the platforms like Fiverr. And what happens is they get raped by the seller because Fiverr has rules. And they basically say, or by the buyer rather, but Fiverr has rules where basically the buyer is always right, the customer is always right. So even if you created the best service and the person wants to dispute, you're still going to lose your money as a freelancer. I wouldn't recommend creating an agency or freelancing to my worst enemy. I would not recommend it. You know how Kevin O'Leary says, this is a business from hell, you got to take it behind the barn and shoot it? This is one of those businesses. Like I said, I don't recommend agencies. I don't recommend freelancing to anybody. It's the biggest sign that you're just basically a modern day slave doing anything you could do for money. Not into it at all. If you knew the skills, at the end of the day, you would do it for yourself. And it's tough. It's tough because if you're a freelancer and you're on these kind of platforms, you will be used, you will be abused. That's just the nature of it. And you're going to be overworked and underpaid. That's the reality. Etsy. Let's go into Etsy on a lighter note. Etsy, I would say, is somewhere in between here as well. Etsy for me fits in somewhere in between the difficulty of a marketplace POD versus a Shopify store. Etsy is a beautiful thing because it has a marketplace. It has demand. I've spoken about this before, but I don't run any ads on Etsy. I have at one point, but I don't rely on them. All my income comes organic from Etsy. I create a listing, and in a matter of time, it sells. Usually, it's either print-on-demand stuff on Etsy, digital files on Etsy, things like that. Nothing too crazy. I put it in between here because, like I said, it has its own marketplace, so it does have that, search kind of volume, but also it's not as difficult as like a Shopify store because you're not creating traffic from thin air. You're not running ads on Google. You're not doing, SEO for Google. You're doing SEO, but not necessarily for Google, but more importantly for the Etsy algorithm, which is a little different. Anybody who has both kind of understands. The way I do Etsy SEO is not the same as the way I do Google SEO. They're not the same thing. They're similar, very similar, but it's not the same thing. I have a little bit different process, different tools, different things that I use. Sorry, a little distracted there. But anyways, yeah. Etsy overall is not too difficult. You are going to have to deal with customers, so that's why it's not here, like print on demand. Print on demand was here, like I said, because you don't have to deal with customers. You don't really have to do anything. But Etsy, like I said, is a little bit difficult because a little bit more difficult than the easier businesses because you have to deal with customers. But overall, it's not that difficult because it's not like you have to create traffic from scratch like a website. So that's kind of my review of these businesses. If you have questions on other businesses that you want to hear about, let me know. I've been involved in so many businesses. It's been insane. It's been a wild ride. But then again, I've been in the game for a long period of time. In a little while here, it's going to be a total of 10 years. I think I'm 8.5 years into the game, maybe 8 years into the game. Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, maybe more than 8.5. I don't know. I haven't been counting, but actually, I have been counting, but not too specific. The point is that I've been in the game for a long time. I've tried many things, many things, and succeeded in many things, but failed in even more. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I kind of explained what you can kind of realistically expect. So hopefully it helps. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Peace out. Bye.